Now let's change the focus from trails to play areas. There's a segment of the OHV community who has no interest in a trail experience. They include dune riders, motocross riders, pit squids, extreme or trick riders, and kids. These folks certainly don't need trails to get the recreation experience they want. Some managers see a picture of use like this and have concerns there's a significant increase in liability if they allow this to occur. However, there is no increase, because a part of proper management is setting rider expectations so riders know what to expect in this situation. This is another play area. Notice that the boundaries are clearly marked with signs or posts to eliminate confusion. Is there a potential increase in liability here? The answer is yes. This old borrow pit is a designated riding area, and recently a Forest Service crew used this site as a disposal site for old culverts. This management action could have introduced a hazard to the riders that didn't previously exist and could increase potential liability. This clearly emphasizes the need for communication between all agency personnel and volunteers, because volunteers may also introduce hazards by their maintenance actions if they're not adequately trained. This sign makes it clear that this area is open as a play area, and it is okay for riders to use any part of the area to challenge their skills and their machines. This is a play area that is popular with 4x4 enthusiasts and others. To provide the desired recreation opportunities, play areas can be any size from a quarter acre to 40 acres or more. But they must have clearly marked boundaries in order to reduce rider confusion. The question is, can this high-impact use be managed? The answer is yes. In the background is the 4x4 play area we saw earlier. In the foreground is a major trail system with a nearby trailhead. In the fenced area between the two is a sensitive plant population. In the 10 years that this use has existed, there's been only one motorcycle track inside the protected area. This works because folks can find the recreation opportunities they seek without going inside the fence. Remember, people come to the area to have fun. Here they can have fun on the trails and areas provided, and that is exactly what they do. Now let's move on and talk about support facilities. These can include staging areas, trailheads, campgrounds, or visitor information centers. What are you going to need at your trailhead? You'll obviously need parking. Will it be for trailers or single vehicles? Will you want to provide water? That will depend on the availability and the duration of the use. In a day-use site, it's easier for visitors to bring all the water they will need. However, if your site allows overnight use, water will be more important. How about toilets? Here, it may depend on who you ask. Experience has shown that toilets are more important to women than men. So if your site will provide family recreation, then toilets will be more important. Shade structures can be extremely important in some areas. Loading ramps may not be terribly important to most of the riding population, because they already have the ability to load and unload their OHVs. But in some areas, it may be a desirable feature. This fellow may be looking for a loading ramp when he gets to the trailhead. Camping is an important part of OHV recreation. Riders can travel as singles, but generally travel in groups. These groups can range in size from 5 to 100 people. They don't mind camping in proximity to other groups, but they want their group to camp together. This needs to be considered as camp areas are developed. This area works for the riders. Most traditional campgrounds do not work well for OHV use. Sites are usually not large enough for camp vehicles and OHVs, and it's very difficult to keep a group together. Most riders would prefer an open area with a vault toilet than $1 million campground. They would like simple, rustic, but quality facilities. the same quality of facilities provided for other forest visitors. They can use non-traditional camp areas, areas that will accommodate tents and RVs. Large open areas, preferably with shade, work best if they are available. They like the flexibility to circle the wagons and the flexibility to move tables and rings to fit groups if possible. Some of the campground design considerations will include minimum development, barrier-free so vehicles can move around, pull-through units to reduce the need to back in, water, sanitation, rustic, semi-primitive design scale. Legal access to trails from the campground to eliminate the need to load and trailer the OHVs to the trailhead. Appropriate informational signing so that visitors can learn the rules and also learn about the unique aspects of the area. This type of area provides the flexibility that folks like. The guiding principle should be to keep it simple, but maybe not this simple. The ability for each recreation group to have their own area or their own trails just doesn't exist. In some cases, uses can be separated, but with declining budgets and increasing populations, we're going to have to look for ways to get along together. That brings us to multiple-use trails. Multiple-use trails work well if we set the expectations of all users before they arrive, through education, signing, and visitor information. Visitors need to know who they may encounter on the trail, so they can better plan their outing to meet their objectives. Trail users are treated equally. When conflicts arise, everyone must work together to resolve it. All users have ownership in the trail and work together to maintain it. Getting groups with differing views to work together on a trail builds understanding between the groups of the common values they all share. The real key is setting the expectations. Another important factor is educating users on the protocols when encountering each other on the trail. If everyone knows how to act when that happens, the chance for problems to occur will be greatly reduced.